Would you take the time to recognize a group of people who have been marginalized historically and who are now asking for the same rights, privileges as white people in the society?
Why are all these students so racist? Black people have rights.
There is a target on people of color's back, okay? So when a white person sees a person of color,
prove it.
There is studies, there is research.
No,
about
give me one
this.
example. Give me one piece of evidence that there's a target on black people's back. In fact, I will submit to you there's the opposite.
You're wearing an American Lives Matter
Yes.
shirt. What is your message to this audience right now by wearing that t-shirt? What is your intended message?
Well, I think that we should put Americans above foreigners.
You know that the whole point of, the movement, that came with Lives Matter was originally for Black Lives
Yes,
Matter?
I'm intentionally appropriating it. Yeah.
And are you trying to eliminate the movement Black Lives Matter? Are you trying to not bring attention to it?
I mean, well, BLM is not exactly a movement that I would be associated with, but I believe all lives matter. American lives matter. If you're a black American, Hispanic American, I don't care. All Americans' lives matter.
Would you take the time to recognize a group of people who have been marginalized historically and who are now asking for the same rights, the same.
Why are all these students so racist? Black people have rights. Why do I have to say this in 2024? Why do I have to say in every single video I do that we have rights? We don't have to ask for the same rights because we have the same rights. This is not something crazy. Black people have rights. Why do I have to say this all the time? And it's so frustrating. I'm tired of saying this, man. Like, the most racist comments I've heard were from students just like this. This is so racist. We don't have to ask for the same rights. We have rights. Oh my goodness, man. Like, and I'm sorry for breaking character. I'm sorry for getting off edge, but it's just so frustrating when I hear this. I've heard it a million times. I've heard it every video I hear. Well, you don't have the same rights. Yes, we do. You don't see a black person out there saying we don't have these rights. I have the rights. Stop saying we don't. Hold up. I've noticed that finding the truth is harder than ever. Every time I open a news source, I don't know if what I'm viewing is true or false. And quite honestly, I'm tired of it. However, I found a news source called Ground News, which keeps it as real as possible with me. Let's get it. Let me put my shades on for this one. Ground News stands as a unique platform accumulating stories across the web and offering every narrative imaginable. This site provides various viewpoints on every single topic and is uniquely beneficial for individuals who want to develop well-informed opinions. Additionally, Ground News enables you to contrast headlines across different stories. Let's look at this one. Today, there's a story about the House Oversight Committee chair inviting President Biden to explain his family endeavors while under oath. On the site, you can see that the left-leaning sources have the article titled as "Republicans Invite Biden to Testify Their Investigation into Impeaching the President." But the right has the story titled "Joe Biden Called to Testify Over His Family's Corruption Cases." What does that even mean? Two different stories and they're the same article. From this, you can see that the left's main goal is to blame Republicans for wanting to impeach Biden, whereas the right's main goal is to focus on the alleged corruption within the family of Joe Biden. My favorite feature, however, on Ground News is this tool called the News Blind Spot. The News Blind Spot features highlighted stories that are underreported by either side of the political spectrum. This is extremely important because this feature actively tells you what both sides want to be hidden from the public's view or what both sides deem as unimportant. If you're tired of biased news, this is your news platform. Ground News is a vital resource that focuses on fostering critical thinking along with providing objective, fair, and accurate perspectives. Experience new ways and new news that motivates you and educates you. Get Ground News today. Currently, Ground News is offering the biggest sale of the year, where you can receive a 40% discount on their Vantage subscription, which I personally use for my news analysis. Just visit ground.news/LFRJojo. I repeat, ground.news/LFRJojo. If you don't want the Vantage plan, you can also get the Pro plan, which is $1 a month. You don't want real news for $1 a month? Anyways, I like what Ground News offers me. If you like it too, you need to get it.
Same privileges as white people in the society by letting
What rights do white people have that blacks don't?
So the issue is, it's not necessarily written in the law.
Oh, so it's like hidden.
That's the whole point. That's how marginalizing works.
Oh, so it's kind of like It's like a ghost. You see it one day and you don't. And
Because you, as a white privileged person with money,
Wait.
have never
so
seen it, doesn't mean it doesn't
what privilege
exist.
do I, as a white person, have that a black person doesn't? What can a white person do in America that a black person cannot do? Be specific. Name one thing.
So there are so many issues in our society.
Name one thing. No, I got to drill you in. Name one thing a white person can do that a black person cannot do.
So the issue is racism, okay? You can
We can do
technically do it, but your life may be put at risk if you are
Talking about, literally, this is not an attack for her, because I'm not going to attack her right now or on for her voicing her opinion. She may have good intentions. However, what she's saying is very disrespectful to black people, because we do have the same freedoms. However, what can't we do? What can't we do in society? What are you saying? Is it like a hidden message that pings to all black people's heads on things we can't do? I don't understand. If anyone in the comments knows, let me know.
if you find yourself in certain areas where you might not be accepted by your race, and then your life might be in
So, okay,
danger.
what is racism?
There's
Can you
job
define to me what
opportunities.
racism is?
Racism, well, I don't have the exact description as it is seen in like AP style or like Wikipedia.
Can you just talk in the mic,
But-
please? I'm sorry, yeah.
Sorry. Racism is the lack of opportunities because of a race, the kind of like putting a person to a side.
So can you name a single example
discriminating
in the
them.
last 20 years where blacks were discriminated en masse, where they've been put aside? Can you give me a specific example?
You can simply talk about police brutality and
Okay, so wait.
mass incarceration.
What percentage of murders do black Americans commit in America?
So there you have a point of there is
Oh,
over-policing in black communities,
Wait, no,
specifically
murders.
lower income
So
communities.
wait, blacks commit murders because of police? I'm not talking about murders of police.
You're twisting my words.
So why do
and you know
blacks
that.
commit so many murders?
They don't.
So they're 13% of the population, and they do 55% of the murders in America.
So there,
why?
you're not even looking at the background of it. There is over-policing in lower income communities. And
There's
that,
under-policing in lower income communities. Number two,
How come when you talk about the underprivileged black community, it always circles back to mass incarceration or police brutality? The problem I have is that on a day-to-day basis, police aren't committing brutality. Police are serving people. They're helping people on a day-to-day basis. When you have an issue, you're calling the police. Your neighbors are policemen. Your family is policemen. So stop trying to throw police under the bus to prove your message. Because you need them they just help you. I don't even understand why that's accepted in society where police of all people have a bad rap now. I know there's some bad officers out there that exist. However, you're throwing the entire... No, that's unacceptable. Anyways, another thing. Why, when you talk about the black community, it always talks about incarceration? Majority of black people aren't incarcerated or aren't going to jail. The majority of our race is not going to prison. So when you talk about privilege in society, why is incarceration the number one thing, as if that actually affects the day-to-day life of the average black person? It doesn't. If you commit a crime, it will. If you're doing something illegal, it will affect you. But we aren't just out here as a race doing illegal things. So stop trying to use the police brutality or mass incarceration to prove your liberal rhetoric. I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to do. Just know that it's not what you think it is.
you're trying to say that over-policing, even if that existed, which it doesn't, leads to the fact that 13% of the U.S. population accounts for 55% of the murders?
There is a target on people of color's backs, okay? So when a white person sees a person of color...
Prove it.
Target?
There is studies, there is research
No,
about
give me
this.
one
There is-
example. Give me one piece of evidence that there's a target on black people's back. In fact, I will submit to you there's the opposite. Black students can get into this college with lower test scores than white students. It's called affirmative action.
So now white people are the people who are struggling?
No, but
are they the marginalized ones?
I will go back to this, though. Can you name a specific example of what a black person cannot do that a white person can do? And be, again, specific. Anything.
I'm talking about so racism as a whole is not written in the law because that's not allowed anymore. But it still exists.
Then give me an example.
I just told you.
You said police brutality is your example. Why do you think blacks encounter police so much? They commit more crimes.
There is
and not just like a little bit more
policing.
No, there's under policing. And how could you?
Why is over policing or how do I phrase this? Why are our minority communities, in her mind, synonymous with low income communities? They're not synonymous. I didn't grow up in a low income community because I'm black. I hope people don't think that. That's actually racist to look at me and say, well, you're black, so you must be from a low income community. You said you're from a black community. They are not synonymous. And yes, charliekirk is right. You probably will not encounter many police officers if you're not around a lot of crime. Think about it. In your day-to-day life, you don't encounter a police officer unless you're in trouble and you need help. Which is ironic that you're blaming them when they're called to help you. But anyways, he's right. You can get into these universities with lower test scores if you are African American. And I will say this. If you're trying to say that this is like affirmative action or DEI is something used to level the playing field, that's a fair argument. That's a fair argument. However, I would ask you this. If it's used to level the playing field, is it working? Is it working in society? And if it is working, let me know. If it's not working, let me know. Because if it's not working, why are we using it? And also, when you say level the playing field, how long does that last? What are you leveling it to? What is the goal? Let's continue though.
You say such a thing. We have defunded the police in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, largely defunded it. We saw crime rates go up.
I also want you to take in mind that when a whole group there are opportunities to succeed economically, let's say they don't get that higher paying job because they chose a white person instead of a black person, that makes
Show me an example of where that happened recently.
That makes an entire community more prone to being lower income, and then that is lower income communities are directly related to like more crime activity.
But let me ask you.
That doesn't even make sense. Even if I'm applying for a job and the job pays $150,000 and they choose someone who happens to be white over me, if I'm capable enough to apply for this job and realistically expect to get the job, I can find another job that pays in the same range. What you say doesn't make sense. I'm not gonna not get this job and go commit some crimes. That's not how life works. If I don't get this high paying job, I won't immediately turn to a life of crime just because I'm black. I can't do this.
A question. What percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them?
I cannot think of a percentage right now to give you.
25%. So only 1 out of 4 blacks in America have a mom and a dad around. Do you think that is a bigger issue to address than racism? Do you think more dads is a better solution, or tackling racism, which you say you can't even see in our laws?
How could dads be connected directly?
Dads are very connected.
And what about, okay.
When you have a dad around, you're less likely to be violent as a male, less likely to go to prison.
So explain to me why all the fathers are leaving.
Exactly. Why are they leaving?
Question for you.
Because black women married the government and divorced the men that they were once with.
Talk about white people right now.
Black people are leaving their families because of... We're watching the same video. I didn't make any of this up. We're watching the same exact video. I didn't change anything. I'll see y'all later.